So here I am in Fes, the oldest of Morocco's grand imperial cities. This medina is the largest living medieval Islamic settlement in the world. Supposedly it's made up of about 9,000 streets, and today, in one day, we're going to try and explore as many as we can. So these riads, they always look like nothing from outside. What's hidden within is always well hidden. See this nondescript entranceway? Okay, some ornate carving on the door there, but apart from that, you'd have no idea what was inside. So here we are outside the Medina of Fes. This is the Blue Gate, so really the kind of main entrance. Not one of the oldest entrances, but certainly one of the most beautiful and known. The colour blue is on the outside, representing the colour of Fes, the ceramic blue. And then if we step towards the inside, we see the colour of green on the inside, the Islamic green. This is where you find the butchers as well, isn't it?
Yeah, camel meat.
Oh, this is the camel meat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll go there later, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it smells like butcher. Big street in the Medina we were just walking by, actually one of the main streets. Although it's not actually bigger than the small street, they're the same size, but supposedly they just called it that to distinguish the two. But there's certainly some life down there. It's smells of meat from the local butchers and a lot of people going past. Okay, this is the other main street, so this is the small street we're walking down now. A bit more sunlight down this one. So we've got one of the mosques of the Medina here, and it's got this beautiful fountain outside with this wonderful mosaic tile work. Now this of course is where Muslim people can wash before prayers, but also in history, before they had running water to the buildings around here, then people could come here and they could fill up the buckets and bring water home. So we walk now really in the original Medina, dating back from, I believe, the 9th century. But on the Islamic calendar, this actually dates back to near the birth of Islam, which is basically why this is such an important place in the Islamic world. And it really feels like going back in history now, just to get out to this little sunny open area. We walked past these, walked through these black tunnels, no light at all, super thin. Really, it's a different world here. Come out from the sun and down into these dark streets again in the old Medina. Aside from the painting on the wall, it really feels like going back in time. So we've actually found another entrance to the Medina here, so there's another door just over this way here. We've just come out of this little side entrance here by one of the food sections. Getting more full of life down there. I love the fact that it's just little streets there, a lot of local action. So this is where they dye the fabrics. It's a completely different process to that of the tannery, of course the iconic side of Fes. And here, basically, they'll dye these in the vats with cold water, as opposed to the leather in the tanneries, which they do in hot water. We're going to see that a little bit later. But you see these beautiful, vibrant colours from the dyeing. Here we see one of the vats where they're actually doing the fabric dyeing. This iron bucket. Doesn't look much when it's in the bucket, but certainly when you see the fabric themselves, it's beautiful. Fascinating little area to come down. Lovely part of the Medina. So on the one side of me here, we have the Andalus part, and on the other side of me here, we have the Caroline part. And so over here, the first university in the world was built, a centre for Islamic learning, and it's still active today. Such history in this place. This is the flea market, basically all second-hand goods. Looks like a lot of metalwork, but certainly loads of people in a really small space around here. Okay, so this is the area for copperwork, for metal, for the teapots, for all this sort of thing. And it's a beautiful part of the Medina. This is actually, right here, the biggest street in the old Medina, surrounded by the little streets that you have around here. And here we actually have the largest square in the Medina. We've got some copperwork going on right now, so a little bit noisy around here. So what do you do if you're having a wedding here and a tagine just simply isn't big enough? Well, don't worry, there's a bigger version. So these are for the local weddings. Basically, these are available to rent. And as you can see, this is one big cooking job right here. I wouldn't stand here, little chicken. You don't know what pot you're going to go in next. Another busy little street in the center. The smell of incense is pretty thick in the air. Oh wow. Got this beautiful doorway, this lovely carving and patterns. So this is actually a mosque and the mausoleum, so tomb of the founder of this town. You can't really see the mosque from down here, of course. The streets are too small and winding, but you do see this beautifully carved entranceway. There's the entrance to the mosque from the other side, right behind us here. The carving is just spectacular. The cedar wood top and the plaster, the white that you see here. So this ceiling up above, this wasn't the original ceiling here. It used to be done with bamboo, but UNESCO, when they did some work to preserve the Medina here, they basically replaced this with the cedar wood. And here we have the traditional ceiling. This is the bamboo that would have been there before, the original. So this was replaced, and I guess this will probably be replaced in the future, but this is like it would have been, well, like it still is around these areas. So heading now through to the Tannery, probably the most photographed site in all of Fes, I assume. Supposedly it's quite smelly, but should get some mint to cover the smell. Oh, this is the most narrow street in the Medina right here. Would you look at this? I can hardly fit down it. Well, here we are, climbed up to the roof of a leather shop to see the tannery. I'm sure there's going to be some sales going on after this experience, but let's take a look at this iconic Fes site. So the first thing I notice here is it's supposed to smell really bad, and he's given me this mint to get past the smell, but actually it doesn't really smell like that much. It's not that bad up here. Maybe it's a lot worse on the ground, but other than just a little bit of poop and ammonia, I'm not really getting too much up here. Wow, it's quite a sight though. It really does feel like stepping back in time. A lot of stuff around this Medina does feel like stepping back in time, but yeah, this is something else. Process has just been used for many hundreds of years. So this is Mohammed. He runs this leather shop here, one of the best views certainly of the tannery. He's very happy to show us around, tell us the stories, and definitely recommend coming to his place.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
So I think that was a really good experience in the tannery. There was no hard sell there really. It was just go up and have a good view. I mean, of course there's a shop there, of course they'd like to sell you something, but there's no hard sell, no hassle. Had a nice look at the view, simply said no, I don't want to buy anything, and the guy was quite happy to talk to me and to explain the process to me. So good experience there. Back to these little dark alleyways now. Really part of the joy of walking around here in these crazy little places. If you swap the occasional passing moped for a donkey, then basically you could be several hundred years in the past. This is really operating just like it always has. Certainly a beautiful view back down the hill, down this street. We've got this lovely old mosque minaret in the background. Back down to the main street now, heading back towards the Blue Gate, kind of full circle around this little Medina tour. So I'm going to go for lunch now. I'm going to try some camel, go to the actual camel butcher, basically get the meat ground up for kafta and then get someone in a local place to cook it. I think this is going to be probably the best way to try camel while I'm here. So this is the camel butcher. What's your name? Your name? Oh yeah, camel. Barakat. Good to meet you. I'd like some camel for kafta, please. Kafta, yeah. So I'm going to buy the camel meat for kefta here. Well, I think the meat around here is definitely very fresh. I see the chicken place just back here, past the camel place, and basically just taking some live chickens in right now. I can see the poor little guy actually being killed as we speak. This is the camel meat kefta. So I hear that camel meat can be very, very tough. It's very much a working animal, always on its feet, so definitely not a soft meat, but having it in the kefta form or the burger form is supposed to be the ideal. It's so nice that you can just get this freshly made on the street like this. So you buy your meat from the butcher and you get it cooked just here right by the butcher. You don't get much more real than that. It's got quite a beefy flavour to it, certainly. You really get the nice fresh herbs and the onion there. It's definitely got a tougher texture to beef, which I can see is tamed down from the cooking. I think fundamentally, I prefer having a kefta with lamb or beef, to be perfectly honest. But it's tasty and it's fun to try. And how many times do you get to eat your lunch in this sort of surroundings, just straight from the butcher like this? Well, the camel was certainly interesting to try. As I say, like a little bit tough side comes across beefy, but as you eat it, it's got an almost sort of slightly leathery quality to it, which I found most unusual, but interesting to try. Just by the blue gate, spotted some fresh orange. One of my loves about traveling in Morocco, always a nice freshly squeezed orange, so I can't resist stopping off for one after that camel lunch. I see some pretty impressive walls ahead. Sure enough, just up from the blue gate a little bit, but not in the actual position of it. But hey, I'm here now, so let's have a look around. See what's outside of these rather grand walls and gates. At first, these streets through town will seem daunting and you'll hate them. You'll want to go a simpler route. But as you get to know the city a little bit, you'll love these because they keep you out of the sun. And that, believe me, is a good thing. So my journey now takes me into what was formerly known as the New City. Now, of course, when you use new in the name of something, it's not really something that ages very well. In terms of this, the New City can hardly be called new anymore. You see, Fes is built up of three distinct sections. There's the Medina, the old city, dating back to about the year 900 or so. There's this part, the new city or the middle city, and that dates back to around, I think, the 14th or 15th century. And then there's the Ville Nouvelle, the modern city, which is basically like a city anywhere, French colonial style. But it's really in those distinct kind of sections, and it kind of runs along in a chain. So just walk down from the Medina area now, and we'll walk into this mid-city. Supposedly there's quite some history and quite some sights to see. So just wandering down towards the historic heart of the mid-city and come across this rather charming city park. A little bit more shade down here than the heat of the midday sun. So just going to take a walk through this way instead. Seems like a nicer place to walk than down by the main street. Hopefully this will lead through. So in the mid-city here in Fes, you've got two main sides. You've got the Islamic side and you've got the Jewish side, which historically have just lived in harmony here. So we're currently just walking through the Islamic side. At least the more living parts, the parts where a lot of people supposedly work for the royal palace. This is the Arab Muslim area of the Midtown. It's a lot more colourful and a lot more energy around here than the other side. The other side, I didn't want to take my camera out too much, certainly. It feels a lot more locally and, potentially a little bit more hassle there. I felt like I was always being kind of guided to the way out, put it that way. But at the same time, friendly enough, no problems there. But walking around this more colourful district now. The artwork there, a bird with a fez in Fez. There's just so much colour here. I never expected it to be like this. Now we get back into blue, the city's colour basically, but being around this little part, it does remind me of Chef Shawan. The minaret behind me, this is the biggest mosque in this Islamic quarter. Supposedly 22,000 people can come and pray in there every Friday. So this is actually the second Medina of Fes, so the old, well, the second souk area. Certainly a very, very different vibe to the other one that we were in earlier. A lot more local life, I think. So here behind we have the gate, which is basically the gate between the Islamic side that we're standing in now and the Jewish side on the other side. So now we step out of the old Islamic Medina part, and this is, wow, this is completely different. The Jewish quarter. Oh, what an incredible place, absolutely worth coming down here. Just this small step out of the way from the old Medina. So I go up on the rooftop here of the synagogue. The synagogue itself is quite simple, quite plain. But yet another interesting part of the history there in this mid part of the town, New Fes as it used to be called. And coming out the far side of the Jewish quarter here, we come down to the palace, which you see behind. We can't go in there at the moment, but you can see it from the outside. And I think that's basically it, really. That is what you can see on one day in Fes, if you count a day as being between breakfast and dinner time. We've been around the Medina, we've had a pretty good look around there. Obviously you can't even touch the surface of it in the time that I've had, but hey, seen the main sites, made a good effort, got an idea of the lay of the land. Been in the midtown area here, looked at both the Islamic and Jewish parts. I'm not going to go and head to the new town, that would just be pointless. But a pretty good effort, lots of sights, and definitely a much better feel for the city than I had when I woke up this morning. So I finished off my time in Fes here in a place called the British Salon. I got sore legs, had a little bit too much sun, so it's just nice to sit here in the shade and just relax after a long day of seeing the sights of Fes, doing a lot of filming. Now it's just time to relax before I fly home tomorrow. Of course, it's kind of a funny name, the British Salon, because fundamentally it's not a salon, it's more of an outside courtyard. There's also nothing at all British about it, and in Britain we don't actually have salons anyway. I think it's an American thing, but hey, there's a cold beer, some shade, and a little bit of wind, so that's good in my book. So cheers, folks. So I hope you've enjoyed this little quick tour of Fes, what to do if you really don't have much time here. If you have, obviously, don't forget to hit that like button, could really use your support. Subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know in the comments below all the things that I probably missed out on, so when I come back, I can make a better effort.